Safety and plant. The policy is that TSI will provide a safe and clean environment for all clients, visitors, and staff. A safety committee will be in place, which consists of a minimum of 2 staff members. Committee members will be chosen by members of management. There will be a systematic monitoring of physical plant safety and sanitation on a monthly basis. Monitoring of the physical plant and safety will be completed by the member of the safety committee. If and when any problems are found or arise regarding the physical plant safety, the safety committee will review the problems and devise a corrective action plan. The safety committee will monitor the corrective action plan and any safety concerns. The safety committee will also be in charge of assuring all the safety drills are completed and logged as needed. The safety committee will monitor the following: all hallways and common areas free from clutter. No equipment is placed in hallways that obstruct traffic flow. Weekly cleaning is done in the office and all common areas. Furniture is cleaned and in good repair. Sidewalks are in good repair and free from leaves, snow, and debris. The building meets the state and local fire building codes. Documentation of this will be provided in the safety manual. Equipment will be used and a purpose from which it is made for and will be maintained in good working order. Heating and cooling equipment will be maintained and in good working order. Toys played with by children will be disinfected bi-weekly basis. Waiting rooms and treatment rooms will be made to ensure privacy to worker and consumer. Site is accessible to those with disabilities. If the site is found inaccessible to a certain consumer based on their disabilities, TSI will refer to an agency capable of providing the needs services to that individual. Emergency services. It is the policy of TSI to ensure emergency medical services are available to its clients and staff, staff in need of emergency services will be referred to a local emergency room or the personal physician. In the event the emotional medical crisis emergency, the TSI counselor will accept crisis calls after hours at 255-899-0763. The staff will contact the local emergency department, the client's personal physician, regarding the medical emergency. After attempting to decline written consent, a signed release informed is not required to seek medical services in an emergency. If an emergency warrants an ambulance, it will be summoned to transport the individual. If the emergency condition is such that an individual can transport self, they will be directed to their physician or the emergency room. Client or the staff in need of medical attention will strongly encourage to contact a family member or a friend for transportation. In the event of a crisis, TSI staff will be able to be reached by area code 712-255-0204 or 712-899-0763. The crisis will be handled by phone if all possible, and face-to-face meeting is necessary. A meeting time will be set to meet the client. Firearms and weapons policy. Policy is TSI policy strictly prohibits the possession of the use of firearms and weapons of any kind in TSI building or vehicle used by TSI staff or by anyone except law enforcement officers. That possession of include but not limited to storage in lockers, desks, briefcases, or personal vehicles parked on TSI property. With respect to TSI personnel, staff, and clients, possession of firearms or other weapons of any kind TSI during business property subjected to a corrective action plan. With respect to visitors, possessions of firearms and weapons of any other kind subject to removal or expulsion from the business offices. All clients, staff, and others who have knowledge of a weapon the TSI property must report the knowledge immediately to the Director of Services, and the Director's absence the duty of on-call worker. In the case of suspected possession of firearms or weapons of any kind, TSI personnel, staff, or clients, TSI reserves the right, as stipulated by the privacy of the appropriate use of resources policy, the search of personal belongings of TSI property, including but not limited to articles of clothing, purses, briefcase, bags, and vehicles. All such searches must be approval in advance by the President or designee. In absence of the pertinent individual, the President must authorize each search. Person may be asked to leave TSI's property to remain in the presence of staff or police until a search is conducted and the situation is resolved. The search will normally be conducted in private by an appropriate supervisor with a third person normally present. Although an individual or individual's personal property will not be searched without consent under the circumstances described above. The individual's consent to search such requirement and conditions and enrollment of the employment and refusal to consent will result in corrective action, including expulsion or termination of employment. The above policy applies to anyone on TSI's property, including TSI personnel, clients, and visitors. It also applies to TSI personnel, clients away from TSI property, TSI business, or TSI sponsored activity. It is, with possessions and chemical substance. It is the policy of Transitional Services of Iowa to prohibit the possession of chemical substance on grounds in the treatment facility or inside the treatment facility. Any client of possession of chemical substance will be asked to dispose of them either by flushing them in the presence of the staff or turning them over to the treatment staff for their proper disposal. Refusal to comply could result in law enforcement being called to the facility or possible discharge from the program. When a substance are turned over to the treatment staff, they will, depending on the substance, will be flushed with a witness when one available, or turned over to law enforcement for proper disposal. When any chemical substance abuse are destroyed, a record of disposal will be documented and kept in a safety book. If the disposal is made by law enforcement, they will be asked to sign that they took the possession of the substance of the disposed. Car accident. At any time a client is in a vehicle with a staff member, the staff member must provide covered by car insurance and provided documentation to TSI, and then this is contained in their personnel file. Each staff member will be required to carry car insurance to transport a client. If the client is hit by another vehicle, hits another vehicle, or in a collision, the object of the police must be notified immediately. The employer must also be notified immediately in writing no less than 24 hours after the incident. Smoking regulations. It is TSI's policy to prohibit smoking except in designated smoking areas. Smoking will not be permitted in TSI's building. Smoking will not be allowed within 10 feet of the entrance to the building. A container outside the building will be used to contain used smoking materials. Used smoking materials will be properly disposed of. Underage tobacco. It is the policy of TSI to prohibit underage tobacco. Staff or client will not sell, give, otherwise supply any tobacco products, or cigarettes to a person under the age of 18. Any person under the 18 will not smoke, use, purchase, or attempt to purchase tobacco products, cigarettes, and while participating in any treatment modality at TSI. The use of tobacco products under 18 will result in disciplinary actions. An adult client or staff member over the 18 who give a child tobacco products to a client who is under age of 18 will result in disciplinary actions. Client disciplinary action could include discharge from the treatment program. Fire plan and evacuation. It is policy of TSI to post a fire and evacuation plan in plain sight near the fire investigation. In the event the alarm is sounding, the following procedures should be followed. Close the door and windows, wait in the hallway for instruction from staff. Rescue any client, visitors, or staff. Exit the building via front or back entrance depending on the location of the alarm. Staff will direct you. Exit signs will be clearly marked. Staff will notify the fire department. Staff will attempt to contain the fire using fire extinguishers if possible. Staff will exit the building and wait for instructions from the fire department. Quarterly fire drills will be conducted in order to ensure all policies and procedures are known and being followed. All documentations of these drills will be documented in the fire drill log. See Appendix A, kept in the fire drill log. Fire Drill Prevention Bureau form is Appendix B. Disaster plan. It is TSI's policy to have a disaster plan, which is implemented when a tornado warning or severe weather warning is issued by local authorities or through public emergency broadcasting system or any other disaster. The procedure is a tornado plan evacuation plan will be posted in plain sight near the fire extinguishers. Close all doors and windows. Remove any items from windows that could become flying projectiles. All persons will move away from windows and will go to the center office of the building. Await instructions from the staff via emergency broadcast system. Should evacuation become necessary, staff will instruct you into front or back exits of the building. Staff will assess the disaster if another tornado and protect themselves from the clients evacuating, contacting law enforcement, contacting the fire department, and contacting authorities following their directives. Disaster plan log form, see Appendix C. Building grounds and safety. TSI will have safe, secure environment for clients and not tolerate threat, physical harm, or violence. Procedure: individuals directed threats or violence of harm, communicate or create fear of physical harm of specific individual, or communicate directly in harm by any means. Physical harm or violence is behavior performed by anyone that causes fear, panic, injury, death of another person, or damaged property. Building directed threats or violence or harm, or direct to indirect communication of by any means in the intent to cause damage to an agency building or agency property, or harmed client, employees, volunteers, or visitors. In the case of a threat or physical harm is carried toward a person, TSI may be required to use personnel to use manual restraints, terminate services, inform law enforcement, or press charges. The incident will be documented in the incident report form within 24 hours. In the case of a minor, parents or guardians will be informed in a timely manner. Parents or guardians of the victim or the threat of the violent act also be informed, might be given the option to press charges. Security drill. Each site will run a security drill annually and documented on the drills form and turned into the quality and compliance supervisor. Hazardous materials. It is a policy of TSI to store any hazardous materials such as cleaning supplies away from the general public and locked cabinet. TSI will utilize household strength cleaning supplies. All cleaning supplies or other hazardous materials will be kept in a locked storage cabinet. Staff will have access to the locked cabinets. Disposal of the cleaning supplies will be in compliance of the manufacturer's instruction and disposal. See Appendix D for the checklist. TSI's policy to apply universal precautions in the cleanup of biohazardous waste or any bodily fluids that may spill in the facility. Staff will wear disposable gloves to clean up spills. The waste will be cleaned up with disposable paper towels. The contaminated paper towels will be placed in a separate disposable plastic bag. It may be double bagged if necessary. A plastic bag will be placed in the appropriate refuse container. The contaminated area will be cleaned with a solution of bleach water, 1 tablespoon household bleach, 1 quart water. The contaminated area will be allowed to air dry. Following cleanup, the disposable gloves will be removed in a manner that allows the glove to be turned inside out, and the gloves will be bagged separately and placed in the refuse container. The staff will then thoroughly wash their hands. In the event that needles are turned over or found on the premises, they will be placed in the labeled sharpener container. When the sharps container is full, the staff will contact their refuse collector and have proper disposal. Hazardous materials, Appendix D. Okay.